my fear from the last fight to this one. I completely understand the frustration and anger that it has caused my fans, coaches, teammates, family, and friends, and I truly am sorry for that. I won't let everyone down again. All I can do now is prove myself and make you proud again. I mean, that kind of makes me sad for being upset with Francis during the night of the fight. Anytime someone says, I want to make you proud again, it's just like, okay, you got me. You got me. I want to be proud of you again, too. But, Bobby, not seeing this fight, you'd think that this would be the best of the card, but this is the one if you missed it, you did not miss anything because it was depressing. It was very depressing.
Yeah, no, everything I've read online and all of that, everyone has said that card or that fight on that card was one of the worst things they've ever seen. I'm kind of bummed I missed it, but at the same time, I'm not. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. It's horrible that there wasn't at least any entertainment in a fight that was so hyped.
Right. It was kind of, and this was comparing it to a fight that didn't have anywhere near the hype of this one, but the card we went to, we talked about John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. The fight before that, the co-main event was Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia, one of the worst title fights ever. And, the crowd was doing the wave. The crowd was shining their little flashlights on their phones. They were doing that stuff in this fight as well. They were showing their displeasure in whatever ways possible they could. They were chanting fight, 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 which I had never heard until the Friday night card, the Ultimate Fighter finale. They started doing that kind of just out of random. It was kind of a new thing. But yeah, just kind of a poor performance by both guys, and hopefully they both can put this behind them and pick up where they left off, because two of my favorite fighters in the UFC, two of the guys who were known to put on real slugfests and put them together, and something happened where they just did not combine for a good fight. Couple of good fights that did happen. Paul Felder and Mike Perry had an extremely competitive fight at a welterweight. Paul Felder moving up short notice to fight Mike Perry. Paul Felder broke his arm in the first from a spinning back fist. He landed his forearm, I think, on Mike Perry's head, which broke his arm. He continued to throw with it throughout the night. I don't know if you've seen pictures of Paul Felder's face, but he got cut open by a punch by Mike Perry that was just gruesome. He had a enormous crimson mask, and just a fight you would suppose that these two guys would put on. Two guys who are action fighters who like striking and staying up on the feet, and really put on a show. And this was one you would want to watch, Bobby. And then the Paulo Costa versus Uriah Hall fight. Paulo Costa knocking out, or I guess TKOing Uriah Hall in the second round. That was the top fight on the preliminary card on FS1. Paulo Costa improves to 12-0 with 11 knockouts and 1 submission in his career. And Dana White says he is the next big Brazilian star, and it's hard to argue against that. He looks like $100, like $1 million, like $1 trillion, and he knocks at everyone. I mean, you saw what he did to the now retired Johnny Hendricks last time out, and now knocking out a striker in Uriah Hall who was beating him up pretty good for some of the first round. So big ups to both Mike Perry to get that split decision win over Paul Felder, and then Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, Bobby, I mean, seeing what he's been able to do, just he looks like a model, and he fights like a Vitor Belfort from yesteryear. Do you see this guy being a future middleweight champion? Because he looks like he has all the tools to be able to get there.
Completely agree. I mean, this guy is a beast. He could totally take advantage of that division. I mean, I can see it. I don't know if he's completely there yet, but he, just like you said, he has all the tools in place to be able to go on a tear.
Right. And then your guy, Michael Chiesa, I mean, I like Chiesa too, but gets tapped out by Anthony Pettis in the second round. Anthony Pettis has kind of been going up and down for a little bit, so he gets a big win for him. He's staying in the lightweight division, trying to go back for that title. Michael Chiesa missed weight, said it's going to be his last fight ever at lightweight. He's going to move up to welterweight. Where do you see Chiesa's prospects in welterweight? You don't like he's obviously kind of a taller guy for lightweight, and he's always been super skinny. Do you think maybe being up 15 pounds from what he's been at might help or hurt when he goes up against bigger competition?
I think because he's a skinnier guy, it might end up hurting him. I'm not as big of a fan of this move as maybe I would have been maybe a couple years ago. I like that he's still a relatively well-known name that I think he could take advantage of. Being able to get some of those bigger cards in a division I don't feel is as nearly as stacked as the division he was just in.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to be at the disadvantage because of his body type. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe we're not seeing something that he does. Obviously, him and his camp know something about that division that they feel like they might have an edge. I just think that he's kind of run his course a little bit in the previous division, so it's time to try something new.
Yeah, and I think that what you said, that, the lightweight division is stacked. I think lightweight and featherweight are the top two divisions in terms of talent depth in mixed martial arts, and him moving up to welterweight, where it might be a little bit easier, and granted he's going to be going up against bigger guys. I mean, thinking about Michael Chiesa going up against Tyron Woodley, it's like, whoa, Tyron Woodley is a huge welterweight, and Chiesa, I mean, like you said, he's a skinny guy. I don't know if he's going to be packing on all that much more muscle, and he's not really a heavy hitter like, some of the other guys in the welterweight division. It'll be interesting to see how he does and how he adjusts, if he does at all, his game to try to take advantage of what, he's maybe not sapping as much energy from himself with his big weight cuts. So interested to see where he goes with that, and always look for success for Michael Chiesa, because from The Ultimate Fighter, I mean, he was one of the good guys in that show. He went through a lot, and was making his dream come true. So one more fight on the pay-per-view card was a shocker. Gokhan Saki, really a legend in kickboxing. He fought last year, his first fight in the UFC, and won by knockout. This time around, the opener of the pay-per-view card, gets knocked out by Khalil Roundtree in 1 minute 36 seconds. One that really kind of set the stage for kind of some of the shock and awe that would go on later throughout the pay-per-view card. So big win by Khalil Roundtree, a guy who's kind of been up and down throughout his MMA career. He's been on The Ultimate Fighter, and now knocking out a kickboxing legend when it seemed like he was kind of handpicked to be a guy to be knocked out by Saki. So a big win for Mr. Roundtree. And just like UFC always does, we're moving right ahead to a card this weekend. It's highlighted by Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoy Ivanov. And if you haven't heard of Blagoy Ivanov, I don't blame you, because if you go to UFC.com and you look at their fight card and it shows, like the pictures of the guys facing off against each other, they don't have a picture of Blagoy Ivanov as of yet, which seems kind of strange for a guy who is going to be main eventing. This is going to be his debut fight in the UFC, and he's main eventing the card that is going to be, I believe it's going to be in Boise, Idaho.
I actually just saw the first commercial for this earlier today. So I know what he looks like now, but the guy looks like he could be a beast, though. Yeah,
no, I mean, he's definitely good. He's 16-1-1. The only fight he lost was to Alexander Volkov back in Bellator when they were both in Bellator in 2014. Volkov was one of the guys that I talked about. This kind of one of the young up-and-coming guys in the heavyweight division, just beat Fabricio Verdum. So he is only one loss in his record. He was 4-0 in the World Series of Fighting. He was 4-1 in Bellator. And he had 2 other wins earlier in his career in Bellator. So he was 6-1. So yeah, looks like a guy who could be a name for the UFC to try to get in there and do his thing. Is relatively young for a heavyweight at 31. Facing off against one of my favorites of all time, Junior Dos Santos. So I'll definitely watch that fight. And looking through that card is actually pretty good. I mean, you got Dennis Bermudez versus Rick Glenn. Dennis Bermudez is always kind of a guy at the top of the top 10 in the featherweight division. You got Miles Jury facing off against the returning Chad Mendes. Chad Mendes has been gone for 2 years due to the suspension from the USADA. So see how he looks going him against a guy in Miles Jury, who is always kind of peating around that top 10 as well in featherweight and lightweight. Then Kat Zingano fighting, Eddie Wineland fighting, Darren Elkins. So some definitely some names on this card. So if you have a free Saturday, it would be probably wise to check that out. But you know what? It's also a card where if you have other things going on, you won't feel terrible about missing it. So yeah, that's what I got for you. Boise, Idaho this weekend. And then after that, we got Anthony Smith going up against Shogun Rua. Anthony Smith was the guy who just knocked out Rashad Evans violently. And hopefully he doesn't do the same thing to Mauricio, because that would make me sad. All right, Bobby, we're done talking MMA. We got NBA now. We got NBA next on our minds. We got LeBron to talk about. LeBron is now a member of the Purple and Gold. You may have heard. Maybe not. Maybe we're just breaking that news to you right now. If so, you may have been under a rock for the last, 10 days. Oh, Bobby has just heard the news. He is going to react. He's going to gather his thoughts.
My gosh.
He's drinking. He's drinking heavily.
This is as big as if, like, Boogie Cousins were to go to the Warriors. Like, I can only imagine.
Now, Bobby, just you wait. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to fill you in on all the good stuff because, you know what? That might have happened. That could very well could have happened. All right.
How is Michael Jackson taking the news?
Oh, I'll tell you that off air, Bobby. All right. Just hang around, and we got to talk about old Mikey.
What?
We got to talk about old Mikey. All right.
Okay.
A somber.
I got Prince concert tickets coming up. So let's get to it.
All right, yeah. Bobby's got a big concert tonight. Bobby's been away for a while. He's been in one of those underground cellars, waiting for the nukes to fall. All right, Clapping the Goods. We'll be right back. Bobby Goodsby, Alex Klepper. Bobby's going to have a tough commercial break. We'll be right back.
It's not easy to try to know that I'm taking your heart, feeling steady inside, hoping to feel I'm in love, seems so far down from perfect view, feeling alive now. You've got me, I'm feeling so high.
You're listening to Clapping the Goods on Spreaker Radio.
You've got me, I'm feeling so high.
Hi there, Alex Klepper from Clapping the Goods here. Seeing as how Bob and myself are just getting this whole thing started again, we thought we'd reach a hand out to you across the interwebs, unfurl that hand slowly yet assuredly, and slowly caw into your ear. Got any change, bruh? Now see, Bobby and myself are both hard-working men, but this is still a hobby. And you know, maybe one day we'd like it to be a little bit more? Well, that's where you come in, my friend. If you or your business is looking to get your name out there to the millions of Kleppiacs and Goodsians out there, now is your chance. Shoot me an email at abklepper@gmail.com or reach out to me on Twitter and let's talk business. Cool? Cool.
Someday I wanna wear a starry crown.
Someday, I wanna lay down like God did on Sunday. Sundays, I remember these on Sundays. That way, yeah, way, that day. Someday, I wanna tell everybody someday. I wanna hit the red dot and everybody someday.
Now, back to Clapping the Goods on Spreaker Radio.
I've been trying to make you love me.
All right, welcome back to Clapping the Goods. Alex Klepper, Bobby Goodsby. Bobby is currently texting away or looking at something on his phone. Can't tell for sure. Bobby's always an enigma. Never sure what's going on in that mind while he's looking at his phone.
I was just researching, and I found out Michael Jackson?